This is where the fun begins.
And I've always leaned towards if we're going to create something, we should check and see if it existed already to the fans, because it has way more value if we bring that in. And it's like, why would I just replace it with something new? So if we're going to do an admiral, if we're going to do a big military leader, yeah, I could create a new guy, sure. But what about Thrawn? Thrawn is great. Thrawn is a character we all know. Thrawn has a lot of credibility. So then you ask yourself, is it right to use him? And can we use him in a way that's similar to the books? Or are we using him and it's going to go completely into left field? And there have been times when we wanted to use things from the EU, and I was like, yeah, but we can't use it that way, so why? I don't want to use it and change it. You know, I don't want to use it and make it something completely different. That's rude.
Did you miss me?
Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel OG Star Wars, and I'm your host Alora Baga, and I'm so glad to be here with you for CAF Chat. Yes, we are about like 6 hours late, but you know, life happens and circumstances will have you postpone or push things back a little bit, but here we are. So I did share with you guys that there was a little bit of a family emergency, and our family's lost a fur baby. And so we just need to take that time to grieve and support each other and all that fun, all that, I wouldn't say fun stuff. It wasn't fun, but all of that. And so here we are. So first of all, I know it's not morning time. It is about 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time where I live at. I still have my coffee here. And lies. Why you say lies, huh, Soul Assassin? And yeah, and or you're probably talking about Filoni. But anyways, yeah, so thank you guys for waiting and now tuning in 6 hours later. I was going to change it to Cantina Chat, but Cantina Chat doesn't have Cringe Factor. And I feel that I wanted to get into the segment of Cringe Factor. So I still kept it CAF Chat. If you are a coffee drinker like me, I have it throughout the day sometimes. So to me, that doesn't really matter. So anyways, let's see who's all here. Again, thank you guys for coming in. And oh, sorry about that. Star Wars Marble Pierce was in it earlier. Unreceived notification, be damned, I'll be here. Thank you so much. And then Blood Guilty Gaming, no problem. Thank you guys for your understanding. I'm at work, so I'm just stopping in to say hi. Thank you for doing that. And you guys, thank you for leaving these comments and waiting for the show to begin 6 hours later. Gordon, hope everything is all right, Alora. Yeah, everything is okay, I guess you could say. And then Corey Cochran, hi all. And Jag, hello. Hey, oh. And then Corey says, hi, still here. And thank you for hanging out. And channel member here as well as Jag. Thank you guys for being channel members. Hey girl, OG Star Wars, and how are you doing? And let's see here. Hope things are well. I think I seen that. And of course, here's the lies. And that's probably for Filoni's clip. And good pep and things are worth waiting for. Yeah. Thank you so much. And shalom and good to see you all. Thank you to Helium. And so today's topic is going to not only be like Smuggler lore, Mirax Terrik, which we'll talk about first, Cringe Factor. We're going to get more, and topics do change, and I allowed this to change as I went into more of Filoni's interview. So we're going to get into Filoni, and then maybe we'll do another part of Cringe Factor. So I'm considering talking about Filoni as a part of the Cringe Factor. I have a few things to share with that. And if you follow me on Twitter, you probably understand what I'm going to talk about, what we're going to discuss here. And I want to hear what you guys feel about this. Filoni comparing Ahsoka to Gandalf and how he perceives Gandalf's arc. So Soul Assassin lies to what Filoni said. Yeah, I caught on to that. And greetings from CJJH. How are you doing? An Heir to the Empire channel or chapter 28. Is it already premiering already, or did it premiere, or is it still waiting to premiere? So I know that was on scheduled to premiere when I was looking at it last night. I just didn't see when it was supposed to premiere. So thank you for sharing. And let's see here. Tea. Okay, tea is good. Tea is really, really good. I don't even have lipstick on. Oh my God. Oh well. Sorry to hear that. Thank you so much. And I'm not here to get pity. I'm here to sit down and talk Star Wars with you. So there we go. My hometown is flooding, or was now it's snowing. Whoa. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully you all are doing better. That could be tough. And let's see. Good afternoon, chat. I came from a video talking about how the head writer of Bethesda is incompetent, who reminds me of Dave Filoni. There's a lot of that these days, huh? And then it already premiered. Okay. All right. I knew it was getting ready to premiere. I just didn't check the day and time. So maybe we'll watch that too. Do you think, because YouTube has been cracking down on showing other channels content, I wonder if we can do a watch party here real quick. I've done that before with no problem to promote, the continued project that's going on. We'll see. Do you guys want to watch the quick premiere or the video? It's the next chapter. I know we did a watch party on Darth Angelus's production so far. I would like to do that with you guys today. So he nuts it that simple and mushy in the head. Okay, Ahsoka is like Gandalf. Gandalf is supposed to be supposed to symbolize an angel. We'll get into that. Ahsoka is anything but an angel. I agree. Let me see here. I'm gonna go ahead. I do have Mirax Terrik on standby so we could talk about the Smuggler lore. So she is on the table today for Smuggler lore. So, and of course, if you guys know who if you recognize the last name Terrik, her father is Booster, and we did discuss him already. So now we're coming out of the Old Republic era and coming back into the New Republic era, and discussing some Smuggler lore during that time, including her lore here. So let's see here. Let me go ahead and find it, youtube.com, because I would like to watch that with you and promote. So let's see here. There it is. All right. So hopefully I won't have to clip this out. Hopefully I don't get a strike and I don't have to clip this out. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and stop sharing. I had Mirax Terrik's information or her photo on standby to share. So I'm going to pull up the video of Heir to the Empire, chapter 28. I'm a bit tired, you guys. I went to bed, by the time I fully fell asleep, it was, let me see if I can, there we go. Start it without you guys. So I don't know if you guys seen this one already, but there we are. I'll just stay on this side here so you could relatively see the screen. And let me see, JH is saying, was there any legend stories about before Dawn of the Jedi and even before the discovery of hyperspace travel, like the far back in the timeline as one can go? Probably, yeah, that has to do with the ricotta. I think I said that right. I'm tired. Ricotta. I'm thinking of cheese. But anyways, Rat Attack, or not Rat Attack, because that's the whole different world and everything. Yeah. So there is a bit of lore about as hyperspace and stuff was being coming into the lore, and how Corellia also took that information and created hyperdrives and stuff like that. So there's all of that. I mean, there's not much, like it's not in depth like in a book or anything, like in a full-on book or whatever, but there is lore pertaining to that. So let's see here. So let's go ahead and watch this first, and we'll get into Smuggler lore. That's part of the lore I'm really interested in, like even if Earth exists in Star Wars in some sort of way. And then very few stories, but Dawn of the Jedi has a comic series and books called Into the Void and the prequels to the comic. Yes, you're right. Okay, thank you, Soul Assassin, for that. All right, so you guys should be able to hear this.
Speeder bikes.
Sounds like they're off to the south. North, I don't hear anything from that direction.
They're probably going to try to surround us. Move units to the north and behind us.
If they haven't already, no reason we would have heard them with a big enough circle.
You might as well go straight up the middle. Call to them before they see us.
Like we were casual tourists out here with nothing to hide?
You have a better idea?
Not really. I suppose you're also going to want to do that roll switch thing Card suggested?
We're not going to be able to sneak or blast our way through. All that's left is a bluff. And the better a bluff it is, the better chance we've got.
I suppose so.
They may check to see if it's loaded. And if another Vornsker finds us before the Imperials do...
Maybe I don't care.
Maybe you don't. Thank you. R2?
So that's how you did it.
Yes, we're ready to go.
Not quite. There's still that face of yours.
I don't think R2's got any with that.
Funny. I've got something else in mind. Now, let's see if that works.
What exactly is it supposed to... Ah!
Perfect.
Oh! Boy, am I glad you showed up. I'm about walked off my feet.
Identify yourself.
Name's Jade. Got a gift here for Talon Card. I don't suppose he sent some transport, did he?
You'll come with us.
About time. Who are they?
The male says his name is Jade, works for Card. He claims the female is his prisoner.
Was his prisoner. What's your name, thief?
Seni Kifu. And I'm not a thief. Card owes me. I didn't take any more than I had coming.
Cuff them.
Wait a minute. Me too?
For the moment, you're both prisoners, so shut up. What in the Empire happened to you?
Ran into some kind of bush while chasing her. Itches like blazes.
How very inconvenient for you. We have a medic back at HQ. Commander, let's go. What do you want?
Name's Chin. We caught this rat snooping around, maybe looking for your prisoners there.
All right, Chin. You and your friends can go. If he turns out to be worth anything, I'll see you get a piece of it.
Decent of you. Can we have our weapons back?
You can pick them up later from our HQ. Move out.
Well, together again, huh?
Wouldn't miss it. Your friends seem in a hurry to get away.
Probably don't want to miss the party.
A shame we weren't invited.
Real shame.
Okay, so he cuts it off right there before they get to the arbor. Okay, so what do you guys think? You could tell the improvements as from the very first one to this chapter 28 here. So if you've been keeping track of, or if you've been following along the series here, let me go ahead and take this out, remove. So if you've been keeping track of the series here, you could see the improvements here. It takes a lot of time, a lot of work, and I respect that. Yeah, though these videos are excellent. Yes, exactly. And I think he might have another one up on deck to premiere soon. I think there was 2 of them. So I'm waiting for them to get to the arbor area where Luke takes down the pillars and traps the shuttle and everything underneath there. And I want to see how Darth Angelus handles that. So I'm very excited and curious on how he's going to handle that action scene with Luke Skywalker. And then also the action scene with Lando and what's his name? I can't think of his name now, but one of Card's people. They're posted up. So I want to see how all that plays out, how he captures that, and because it's when you create something out of the books, you're going to leave a lot out. You're going to try to stay to the point of what's going on in the scene. So a lot of little things that maybe seem like fillers will be taken out. So props to him on that. I can't wait to see exactly how everything else plays out. And then the space battle at Sluis Von. I believe that's the place. Anyway, so I want to see how all that pans out with him too. So let's see here. It's a shame Beaufire was bullied out of being Star Wars fan, though I have to thank him for recommending Mobile Suit Gundam. Okay, I'm so sorry that happened. It's crazy how people act and treat other people because maybe you have a differing opinion. So yeah, and maybe he'll find his way back in. Chapter 29 premieres in a few days. Okay, I thought so. Maybe that's why I was like thinking that nothing was premiered yet, because I know I seen that they were premiering. There was 2 of them, and I probably read the date for the 29th. So thank you again. So once he creates part 2, we'll do a watch party on that, because he already put together part 1 of some of the chapters, and we did a watch party here. I'll have to go back and find the video and share it with you guys in the YouTube community section there, so you guys can check it out, or just go to his channel and check it out. Either way, I'd rather you go to his channel than rewatch that video, and support him if you haven't already. All right, so thank you guys for tuning in with that. And sometimes things change when it comes to scheduling, and thank you guys for putting up with that today. And even topics do change sometimes. So here we have we're going to get into our Smuggler's lore here. So let me know what you know about Mirax Terrik, and as a character, what you like, or maybe what you think should have been improved, or what you wished would have been expanded more on this character. So I was going to do a PowerPoint, but for some reason, and oh yeah, let me show you this. For some reason, it's not allowing me to upload the PowerPoint. So I was looking through this before we started. This is amazing. I think I shared this with you guys before. This is the Star Wars role-playing game for the new Jedi Order that goes all the way up, and this is the source book. It covers every single book all the way up to Star by Star. So I need to get the second half to this for the rest of the series. So you have like Vector Prime, you have Dark Tide, you have Balance Point, and Agents of Chaos. You see, you have all these novels here leading up to Edge of Victory, all these leading up to Star by Star. And so you have the campaigns, you have character information in here. So like if you're wondering, let me see here. I'm not trying to stray from our topic in general, but I just wanted to share again. If you want to look at the Vaughn campaigns, it's in here. If you want to look at the Battle of Ithor and how that went down, you can read about it in here. Booster Terrik too, about how he wanted to keep his grandchildren safe. So, but he's not the kind of man that would just pull his grandchildren out of the Jedi Praxium and let all the other children succumb to the Vaughn attack. So he basically takes everybody in on the errant venture. And that's now the little mobile station for the Jedi Order. So that was very, very good of him to do. So, and then, like I said, if you want to learn about characters, you can look up like Zek, and it'll tell you what type of Jedi. I think Zek is a Jedi Guardian. So, it gives you more information about these characters. And so I highly recommend getting in these role-playing games, source books here, because it has a lot of, gems in here and understanding what's going on in the greater history of Star Wars. Like you can look up Welk, the Dark Jedi, and the Voxen Queen has information of her, Battle of Borlaeus, the Battle of Rishi. So we have all of that. Let's see what you guys have to say. Zim says, have to go. Got stuff to do. Have fun. All right, Zim, come check out the replay. So if you're coming in, catching the replay, let me know. Leave a comment below. Press the like button. If you're here with me currently, share out the stream. Hit the like button. All of that good stuff. All right, so let's get back to Mirax Terrik. So let me see. Whoops, wrong button. There we go. I want to get down here. There we go. All right, so Soul Assassin says, give it a few months and OG is going to want to start a Star Wars D&D game. We almost did that when I was playing D&D type of game with Stig and Teresa and stuff like that, but we went into Conan. I did go into the later stages of D&D with Star Wars, and that group fell apart, and so that was... I barely created my character, and that fell apart. So we went into Conan and stuff like that, and others. So that was fun while it lasted. So I greatly appreciate being able to have fun and do that, experience that with a few people that maybe I don't communicate with much anymore, which is fine. And Metaplex is here. Hello, how are you doing? I still have many source books for Robotech RPG, also Marcross. That's pretty good. Yes, it's always fun to collect these source books of the franchises you love. And is it Mirax married to Corran Horn? Yeah, you put Corran Horn. Corran Horn. Yes, she is. And so we'll get into the dynamics of this here. I wish I could have did a PowerPoint, because this is what it looks like before I put it on PowerPoint, my research here. So she was born, her homeworld is Corellia, so she's another Corellian. And she was born 19 BBY, so around the same time Luke and Leia were born. Her species is a human, and she's female, of course, hair black, eyes brown. Her spouse is Corran Horn. Children, Valen and Gisela Horn, and of course her father is Booster Terrik. Her affiliations is basically the Alliance to Restore the Republic, so the Rebel Alliance, and the New Republic, the Galactic Federation of Free Alliances, and then the New Jedi Order. Now, basically that her alliance or affiliation is with the New Jedi Order because of her husband. And so that's, only, fair, I guess you could say. And she is the childhood friend of Wedge Antilles and the daughter, of course, the famous smuggler Booster Terrik. So he's the one that basically was able to keep the decommissioned Star Destroyer 2, and the only civilian and smuggler ever to have that feat. And he had it painted red. So that was very interesting. And basically that's like a mobile shop. You can go there, go to restaurants, you can go gambling, you could do trade there, you could stay in their little hotel rooms there. Very interesting. And though he didn't have the proper amount of crew to fully keep the ship up to par, he did have help with the ship. So if that makes sense. So not trying to get into Booster Terrik, but she is linked to her dad because later on she does take over on his business. So there we go. And let's see here. Something in that Corellian water. Everyone there is a smuggler or a rebel or an awesome pilot. Or an awesome pilot. So you have that going on. But it goes back to that question about hyperspace, hyperdrive lore. and how, like I said, how I mentioned that the Corellians basically got a hold of the Rakata's information technology on hyperdrives and recreated them so that you didn't have to be force driven, I guess you can say, no pun intended. And I don't know if that's a pun or not, but anyways, I'm tired, you guys, but we're here. And so they basically were the ones that built the hyperdrives that probably is seen in Star Wars today. So given the Corellians and their technology and it's common to see amazing pilots from that planet, I would say there's reason why. And they're basically taking technology and advancing it for humans and other beings outside of the Rakata. So that's a very interesting bit of history there. Short bit of history there. Yeah, short bit of history there. Let's see here. And so let's go on with, I want to get into Cringe Factor so much, but I'm not trying to, speed this along either. But I wanted to give some respect to Mirax Terrik here. So basically, she was, basically Wedge Antilles and her were childhood friends. And later on, she took over her father's smuggling operations when he was arrested by Corpsec officer Hal Horn. And that was around 2 BBY. So you have that little bit of history between the Horns and the Terriks. So if you read the X-Wing series, you would know more information to how Booster Terrik frowned upon her and Corran Horn's budding relationship, I guess you could say, and how much Booster disliked Hal Horn, I guess you could say, because it was like cat and mice kind of chase between the two. And when he was finally caught, he was sentenced to 5 years at the Kessel Mines. So 5 years at the Kessel Mines. So during that time, she took over on her father's operations and kept that afloat, pun intended. So, and later she aided, or around that time, she aided the New Republic, placing her back into contact with her longtime friend, Wedge Antilles, and whom is the squadron leader of the Rogue Squadron, who founded the Rogue Squadron with Luke Skywalker, and Luke Skywalker then since then stepped down to build the Jedi and the Jedi Order. And but he always had an honorary spot as one of the commanders, or as a commander, if he, decided to, fly with the squadron. So that's a bit of fun history as well. And this led her to to meet her future husband, Corran Horn. So he came in after the loss of his father. His father was killed and stuff, and he kind of went astray in a sense. And then so he decided to join the rebellion, I guess you could say, as a pilot. And so that's his start, in short, with Rogue Squadron. And that's where she met Corran Horn, is through her reconnecting with her childhood friend, Wedge Antilles. And I want to do a little bit of, maybe here in the future, before we wrap up the Smugglers lore, I want to maybe do a Smuggler lore with Wedge Antilles, because he wasn't necessarily a smuggler, but he was in a way raised by Booster Terrik at one point, and was asked by Talon Card to become one of his crew members, and he turned him down. And this is before he went into Rogue Squadron. So I think maybe doing an honorary Smuggler's lore on Wedge Antilles, just to get into a little bit more of his background, especially if you're a Wedge Antilles fan. I think that little bit of information is would be fun to touch upon. And then taking over her father's business while he served time in Kessel and into his retirement years. So basically, she helped her father run his business, his smuggler business. She was very good at negotiating very good, and she wasn't afraid to back down. She understood other cultures, other species, other cultures, and so her basic knowledge, is something that, helped her father out in the long run. So I thought that was very interesting, little dynamic between her and her father. And her mom died when she was young. There's no given indication of whom her mom is. That, as far as I seen, there's no mention of her mom and what her name was. So I wish I could let you guys know on that, but I just couldn't find that. Let's see here. Check out OG's merch store. Yes, thank you so much. So that little figure tag on the top corner of the screen there with Luke Skywalker and Hope, that's one of the images you can get in the merch, whether on t-shirt, mug, poster, whatever is labeled there for you to purchase. You can get that image printed, and you can represent the channel through that way as well. Every bit helps. So thank you so much. Thank you. So let's see here. And here's some of the campaigns. I just put down 2, but she is known to aid Rogue Squadron through campaigns, including the Merlist Phantom Project, where she helped them escape, and Extraction. Then she also helped with extracting pestage from Suderik 4. So there's a couple of, if you're known like knowledgeable in X-Wing series, you'll know other campaigns that she helped out in, and including into the New Jedi Order and into the Legacy of the Force. So she was a great person to have on your side. And, her history is a bit short here. Her father's a greater bit of history, but like I said, I wanted to share, another female smuggler. Her primary focus was smuggling to the liberated Coruscant. Now, this is when the time frame of when the New Republic was taking back Coruscant from the Imperial Remnant. So her primary focus was to smuggle Bacta onto the liberated Coruscant to help aid against the Krytos virus. After her marriage to Corran Horn, she began a shipping business. So this is her own business on the outside of her father's. And during the Thrawn campaign, she returned to smuggling during that time to supply the resistance cells and smuggle refugees on planets conquered by the Grand Admiral Thrawn, who basically, I admire how he was written, and that how he's a tactical genius and a force to be reckoned with, and always a step ahead, or even 2 steps ahead of the New Republic, of those fighting against him. Very well written here, compared to the Disney lore, but we're not going to get into that. And so she helped aid, against Thrawn, and help people out, on the planets where he conquered or took over. And he didn't just go in and just create devastation. He had clear focus and idea on where he wanted to be when he took over these planets. He did do a little bit of bombardment on them, just to say, if you don't listen to my terms, this is what can happen to you. But he always had focus on why he's taking these planets. And I'm not sticking up for the villain, but this is just his tactical genius. And so if it's a planet of agriculture and stuff like that, then he took over that so he can help feed, not only the remaining Imperial remnant that are under his command, but also the troopers, the clones that he was creating. Mirax attempted to apprehend rogue Moff Leonia Tavria, so I think I said that right, but was captured by Invid pirates, and this comes from I, Jedi. And in prison on Sarabi, she was then rescued by her husband and, of course, Jedi Master, or Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. So that information comes from I, Jedi right there. So a little bit of history there. 13 ABY, she gave birth to Valen Horn, and later on to Gisela Horn. So her and Corran Horn had, a couple children, which goes into a heartbreaking events leading into Fate of the Jedi, if you're not familiar with that series. Over the Vong War, she helped aid the Order, so the Jedi Order, and monitoring requests for carrier runs and giving priority to the Jedi, because she now is attached to the Jedi through her husband. That was her main focus, is helping, aiding them, smuggling for them, all of that. So that's a little bit of, her history with the Jedi, or her continued history with the Jedi. During the Second Galactic Civil War, she was placed under the house arrest by Thraken Sal Solo's government on Corellia. And if you're familiar with that, even Wedge Antilles, and this is what makes him turn his back on the Galactic Alliance, basically, is that they went and arrested him to keep him out of the way so he wouldn't want to go run and aid his home planet, Corellia, which backfired on them completely. He ended up getting free and joining sides and with Corellia. And she later aided the Solos and Wedge on Corellia after they severed ties with the Five Worlds. So at one point they did sever ties with Corellia and all them. And so she went and aided them and helped shield them, I guess you could say, protect them, or gave them a home place to stay while they did that. Taking refuge on the errant venture, where she gave in and learned to operate the mobile smuggler's den. So as she was aiding Wedge and the Solo family, or the Solos, she then started taking over on her father's operation here. Let's see here. Old Republic Jedi turned a blind eye to smugglers, but not Luke. He worked with them. Exactly. That's a great point. And you'll see that in history here, is that the Old Republic, unless they absolutely needed something, but it's common for the Old Republic Jedi to turn their backs. And that's where you see, like, during the dark times and during the Imperial times, they were a little bit the same, but they knew how to manipulate and use smugglers to help them out and stuff. Whereas when you get into the New Jedi Order, they were treated as equals in a sense. For example, Mirax Terrik. So here we go. So, and then we get into the Fate of the Jedi series, where after the kids, because like I said, Booster Terrik couldn't just take his grandkids and ignore all the other young Jedi training at the Praxium. So he housed the whole order basically on the errant venture. So they were on a mobile academy, and later on they found a place to hide them in the mob, because they were all basically hunted down by the New Republic per the Vong, saying, if you bring us Jedi, we won't hurt you guys. We won't, annihilate you guys, basically. And I think it's called the Peace Brigade. I'm not sure. Or the Human Brigade. I'm not sure exactly. So correct me if I'm wrong there. So they had to hide their Jedi. And so they hid them in the mall. Well, during that time, they didn't realize what they had put their children through during that time frame. And they were all affected by Abeloth. And because of that, those who were affected by Abeloth came to her during the Fate of the Jedi time frame. And that includes the Horn Children. And so their story is that they went mentally crazy, in a sense. That's what they were diagnosed as. And they were carbon froze, and Dala kept them away. She kept them in prison in carbon. And they were basically just stored in a warehouse, and the Jedi found out about that. And when the Horns were welcome to come in and investigate, she seen her kids hanging up on the wall, and she gave it to one of the officers. And talk about badass. She went up and just slapped him and knocked him down for what they're doing to her kids. So the Peace Brigade, thank you so much, Jag. And so, eventually they were freed. Eventually, they seemed to get back into the right minds after Abeloth was somewhat defeated, I guess you can say. We will never know now after the fact if they ever were freed from the grip of Abeloth, because the sellout of Star Wars. So that's a quick history on her. So hopefully you guys will get interested and read the X-Wing series. If you guys know, like 2 days ago, I had a Cantina chat, and we discussed how Disney is splitting up the X-Wing series and calling one portion of it Rogue Squadron series, and then now they're doing Wraith Squadron series, which does not make sense, because even though they're telling stories of two different squadrons, the story is all like, it's a continuous story in the whole series. So if you're privy to what the plot and the story is, you'll see that the story runs through the whole series, and each of those squadrons have a play in that story. And so I encourage you to pick up the books, find the non-Legends label books, and add them to your collection. So yeah. Now, any questions about Mirax Terrik before we segue into the next portion of CAF Chat? I have 8 beautiful souls here. Thank you for tuning in, especially during this time change. I appreciate every single one of you. So if you have any questions about, or if you want to add any more, who is your favorite smuggler? Learning and going through the series with me, who is your favorite smuggler? Now, I didn't get into George Cardass yet, and we will get into him as well. And I need to find out, look into smugglers during the dark times or the imperial times. So I'll do that. So 2 more, possibly 3 more with the honorary Wedge Antilles. And so who is your favorite smuggler? Let me see what Soul Assassin has to say. I think since the Republic goes on for another 100 years, Abeloth is either dead or hibernating. And that's the thing. That's what it seems like. I would say maybe she's dead. Because we don't see her in Legacy at all. So who knows? Who knows? Or maybe she's entrapped. Maybe. We can only now speculate on what Luke and Ben Skywalker and them did in that time frame that there's no history reported anymore because of the buyout. We can only speculate on that. So who is your favorite smuggler so far? Let me know. I have my kids, my son and my daughters here, and they're watching a movie. So we have a little bit of noise in the background. So and it's all good. So let's see here. All right. Hide. Let me remove here. Let me remove this. And let me see, what do I want to pull up first? All right. We are going to segue into our cringe factor now. So you guys go grab your drinks or go grab a snack, because it's going to be a very serious topic, cringe factor. And then we'll do another one. I'll probably add on to this cringe factor, but we're going to talk about Filoni first with Gandalf and Ahsoka. So go grab your drinks, and since we did talk about New Jedi Order, here we go.
I had fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the New Jedi Order.
So uncivilized.
All right, so we're going to get into our cringe factor here. Let me go ahead and... Oh, I didn't have them pulled up yet. So this little segue didn't go as exactly as I wanted to, but here we are. Here we are. So I'm going to pull up 2 tweets that I... let me see, is it on here? Nope. 2 tweets that I shared out today or last night. And we're going to get into the topic of Ahsoka is similar, or her arc is similar or like Gandalf's, and what Filoni has to say about that. So if you guys know what I'm talking about, share already what you think, or maybe even just hold out a little bit and share as we begin to talk about this. Let me pull this up here. 1 and then 2. All right. I thought I had them already ready. So I apologize for that. So what do you think about this comparison of Ahsoka to Gandalf by Filoni? Now we know he's been saying something about that for a while now. Why is this not coming up? There we go. There we go. All right. So this first one here, is it showing? Oh yeah, it is. Here it is. All right. So I'm going to leave that up there because I think it's cute. Let me know. I want to go here. Let's do this one. All right. So I've been going through and listening to the Dagobah Dispatch podcast with their interview of Filoni, and this happened on November 22nd. And just dissecting and going through what he has to say about the creation, about, you know, his time with Disney Lucasfilm, not just Lucasfilm under George, but with Disney Lucasfilm, and what he has to say about Kennedy. There's a lot of interesting stuff. We're not going to get into him praising and mentioning Kennedy and being in contact with her even today on future projects, which then goes against what people are saying with her being suspended and not being able to, what do you call it? Oversee projects and lead as their president. And so that right there basically goes against everybody talking against Kennedy not being in charge. She's still in charge. So that's a different story. You'll hear that on more or less tomorrow night on the spacing. And I was thinking about doing a video. So you might see a video coming up before the spacings. We'll see how things are going to go today, considering that, you know, my family is, you know, still coming to from the little bit of family emergency we had last night. So Filoni comparing Ahsoka's transformation to Gandalf. So here we go. So this is the first one here, and I should have clipped them together so they're side by side, but I just pulled them up real quick so I didn't have to go to Twitter and use Twitter to share this with you. So, and this is what he says. I never shown her deal with that. And that means like dealing with not being a Jedi anymore and dealing with Anakin being Vader, all of the stuff that she's gone through. I understanding she'd have these second thoughts about herself. This is this kind of like Gandalf, and I'm going over what he said, how he's talking. So this is not this is not me having grammar errors. He is not fully committed to the task. He thinks he is, but he is not. So this is what he's saying about Gandalf. So he's saying that she is kind of like Gandalf. Gandalf is not fully committed to the task, which he was sent by Manwë. He was the last of the Istari that was sent by Manwë to Middle Earth to help the people of Middle Earth be rid of Sauron. And so he's saying he's not fully committed to the task. He thinks he is, but he is not. The minute he was asked by Manwë and he traveled to Middle Earth and he set foot on Middle Earth, and Círdan, he had a talk with Círdan, and Círdan gave him one of the rings. He was fully committed to the task. And so it's funny that Filoni says here, he thinks like Gandalf thinks he is, but he is not. So I don't know where Filoni's getting that if Gandalf thinks he's committed to the task, but he is not. Because when if you're just the movie watcher, you'll know for sure he had no doubts. He, none of that. Like he, as a person who decided not to be part of the council, the White Council, I guess it's called, because he didn't want to be committed to one spot. His aim was not just to be a wanderer, but to get to know the people of Middle Earth, to be properly prepared to go against Sauron. And, if once they find the One Ring and, fight against and get rid of Sauron. So he was going and learning about the people of the Middle Earth. And I think that was a great tactic of Gandalf right there. So he just wasn't this wanderer that Filoni is trying to make Ahsoka sound like she's a Gandalf, a wanderer, because first of all, she never wandered around to help the greater galaxy. She was very selfish. Gandalf was not selfish. He went and helped. He got to know people, and he got to also find out like where all the evil entities were living throughout the Middle Earth and stuff. It's very strategic of him. And he was very kind-hearted, helping, like I said, aiding where he needed to. And that's just who he was. The Meyers are basically the angels, I guess you can say, if you want to, say, okay, what are angels and stuff in the greater scheme of Lord of the Rings or Tolkien's, creation here. They were basically the angels. Ahsoka's not no angel. She's not this no entity that was called upon by any god or even the Force to wander and aid the galaxy against the Empire. That she is not even comparable to Gandalf in that way. She wandered, she disappeared, she didn't help Luke Skywalker. None of that. There's nothing comparable to her in the fact of calling her a wanderer like Gandalf. Gandalf set foot to get to know and help others and keep an eye on Middle Earth. Let me see what you have to say. Let's see. After party at Rhino stream. Yeah, so we're done here. Once Rhino is on, go check out his. I'll be over there listening in finally. Last week I was in the Bahamas having fun, got done with the photo shoot, and went out to dinner with the crew. So Dave Filoni said that changing the Fets to not be in Mandalorian was George Lucas's idea. Is Filoni lying or is it true? It was both of their idea. However, they were Leland Shee basically said that is just one sect of Mandalorians, and Boba, the Fets are still who the lore says they are. So they were retconning it to still keep everything intact, I guess you can say. And when you get into the later series and Legacy of the Force, they were relatively, the Fets and all them and the Mandalorians were relatively still kept intact. And but there's no resolution because, or no further resolution to that because of the buyout. So because of the buyout. Let me see. Whoopsie. Let me go ahead and grab the other article now. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring another article up from that. Let me see here. Present. Show on screen. Make sure I have the right one here. Windows. Do we need a little bit of fun music to do this? Okay, let's see here. Oh, I clicked out of it by accident. Damn it. All right. I think it's this one. Hopefully it's this one. So let me know what you think already on this. Hopefully. Okay, here we go. Here is the other one. Let me get out of this real quick. I wish there was an easier way to share some of this stuff. It gets frustrating a little bit, but here we are. All right, so here's this other one here. And again, I do provide the timestamps of the podcast. So if people are curious and they're like, well, this woman's bullshitting. Well, that's why I provide the timestamp. So you can go listen it to yourself. So Filoni on Gandalf. So this continues on with this. And then we'll see what Rosario Dawson has to say about her talking with Filoni about how Ahsoka is like Gandalf. All right. So it was very interesting. The transformative nature of Gandalf from being the kind of the Ronin. So I spelled that wrong. It's I-N or N-I-N, but Ronin wonder that he was helping people, but somewhat unsure of himself. So those who are privy here in the chat, or if you're listening later on and you are versed with Lord of the Rings and Gandalf's history, where was he somewhat unsure of himself? Because I don't get and he's only referring to the two series or the series or the bit of books that was either written or read to him or that he read. And that's the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy. He's not talking about, the Unfinished Tales or any of the other publications that Tolkien's son Chris later on published. After J.R. passed, or Tolkien passed away. So he's only talking about what he has read here. And to transformation to being Gandalf the White, somebody he wasn't ready to become. So he's saying that Gandalf was not ready to become Gandalf the White. And like I said, if you read the trilogy and you watched the movies, there was no like there was no incidences of him being ready or not ready to become Gandalf the White. In fact, when he presents himself to a Saruman, you know, he's like, I am now the White. I am now stronger. And he basically took control over Sauron, if you read the books, and basically broke his cane, I guess you can say, his wand. He severed it and all this other stuff. So that to me is not in any indication that he was not ready to become Gandalf the White. Once he became the White, he was more powerful, I guess you can say. He was more ready to take on and finish the task at hand. Somebody he wasn't ready to become, but needed to be for everyone else and for himself. And again, this is from Filoni's interview on Dagobah Dispatch podcast, timestamp 2812. And I wanted to bring attention to this because I did do a video, and I need to do part 2 now, of saying that I'm predicting that Ahsoka is going to be this kind of Force god or goddess or something to do with this main character that needs to, that is more important to the overall arcing story of Star Wars. So I need to make a part 2 to this. So what do you guys think of this? That basically he was unsure of himself. This is what Filoni's saying. And he wasn't ready to become Gandalf the White. So let me see what you guys have to say. Soul Assassin says, Gandalf kept his cool even when staring down a Balrog. Exactly. He kept his cool. He was stern and commanding. There was no way he was unsure of himself in any which way or form. He was a wanderer because he was collecting information, creating allies, and sharing wisdom, helping out. Whereas Ahsoka, as the so-called Ronin wanderer, doesn't do anything for the galaxy. However, I know that they made her responsible for one of the people creating the so-called rebellion of the time. And but other than that, she totally just ignores the greatest civil war happening of defeating Vader and the Emperor. What now? Because she's trying to train Sabine. But if she's trying to do that, then it has to be a purpose to her wanting to train someone, right? And that would be to join the fight. So there's no comparison. I don't know where Filoni gets where she is as comparable, or she is the Gandalf of Star Wars, because she does not do anything to help out. She does not collect allies. She does not help out. She does not offer wisdom or expand herself and for the greater cause as well. There's nothing there. So there's no way she can be or compared to Gandalf or be this Gandalf the White type character for Star Wars. And again, I think this is just making her more important than what she really needs to be, because if she was intended to be this important, then she would have already been put in the movies. She was just meant to be this little crutch towards Anakin and his fall towards the dark side. That's it. That's all. That's the whole importance of her in a nutshell. So let me go ahead and share that article now. Hide. We'll get into the article. So let me know what you guys are thinking about this so far. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Don't be shy. And I forgot to turn my camera back on. I will. Hold on. All right. So thank you, Soul Assassin, for sharing this article. This article is back in August of this year, so not that too far away. And like I said, investigating further into what the purpose of Ahsoka is going to be according to Filoni. This helps me further extend the case of what Filoni's doing here. And Jag says, do their writing Gandalf to excuse Ahsoka pulling a reverse moon spirit from Avatar? I'm not too versed with Avatar. Other tripe. So I'm not too versed with Avatar. So those who know, let us know by answering this question here. I've never gotten to Avatar. I'm aware of it. I'm aware of some of the content, but I'm not versed in that that show. So let me know. Let us know. All right. Hello again. Hello there. All right. So let's get into this article here. wrong box. There we go. Sorry, you guys. I'm a bit tired, but I'm here. I'm here with you guys. All right. So this is by a math Irio. So math Irio. So maybe it's a math short for Matthew. I don't know. Ahsoka star Rosario Dawson discuss how the former Jedi's arc mirrors that of Gandalf the White from the Lord of the Rings. And this, of course, compares Ahsoka's journey. So Rosario Dawson compares Ahsoka's journey to Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings. Well, she's repeating what George said, so we'll get into that. Dawson spoke to Entertainment Weekly for the publication's big piece on the upcoming Star Wars series, which will bring many characters from Star Wars Rebels to the world of live action for the first time. While Ahsoka, played by Dawson, has already appeared in 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, her tutelar series will finally see the focus put on her rather than Din Djarin or Grogu. As such, her connection to Gandalf, first teased in the final moments of Rebels, will be further explored. So we know that that was a tease because we've seen Filoni drawing out a Gandalf character and a Gandalf-inspired character of Ahsoka, if you're privy to all of that. Let's see here. And I guess this is her. In the animation, you saw her go to the white. But what I love is the idea that there was even another level to her, Dawson says. Dave and I talked a lot about Gandalf the Grey and Gandalf the White, talking about that transition of how she's someone very capable and excellent and looked up to as a leader. So I don't see anybody looking up to her as a leader, especially during the times where you don't even see her, where she basically turns her back. She's a wanderer, but she wanders away from the galaxy. She does not help. But she still has level of development to go. So this is what Dawson confesses to. She's talking with Dave. So this is not her opinion. This is on their conversation. He's bringing this up to her on, well, how he's trying to draw this character to resemble Gandalf, rather the gray turning to the white. And we already know that he has misconceptions on how he sees Gandalf. Gandalf was never unsure of himself, and he was always ready for the task. And let's see here. If more comes next, I'd really be excited and grateful, Dawson said, about the future of the character. I feel like every time I get to step into her shoes, I learn more. I experience what I could never experience otherwise, and I feel like I keep getting better. And like Gandalf's changed from gray to white. Ahsoka similarly goes from obedient Jedi to a Ronin-like Force user who eventually purifies 2 red lightsabers to gain not 1 but 2 ultra rare white lightsabers. So first of all, he does this. It's not said that Ahsoka goes and helps out, creates allies, helps defeat the Empire, helps get rid of the greater evil. It just shows her actions of just taking 2, red crystals and purifying them to white. That's her transformation to Ahsoka the White? That doesn't make sense. When she appears before Sabine Wren in the series finale of Rebels, it's with a cloak and staff that visually ties her to Gandalf. You could dress a character up with a white cloak and a staff. That does not mean she's tied to anybody. That's just a new dress, a new garb. But as Dawson alluded to, Ahsoka might still have some gray left to explore. So there you go. So what do you guys think about this? Let me go ahead and check the comments here. Let's see here. Here we go. Do they rewrite? Okay, I reread that one. Sorry about that. I never agreed with George. Giving us Anakin a Padawan feels more like a retcon. I don't know if it would. Well, in a sense, yeah, it's a retcon because we never see her in the major movie Revenge of the Sith. She is never mentioned as a pivotal character that would, contribute to Anakin's fall. And that's the thing that everybody's questioned. And people are like, oh, well, they say this about me. Some people say this about me. You put George on a pedestal. No, I don't. I know that when he talks, he contradicts himself all the fucking time. I know, and I don't agree with him giving Anakin a Padawan. I never have. So if I put George on the pedestal, I'd be like, oh yeah, George, yeah, that's cool. No, it makes sense, you guys. I'd be sticking up for him like that. No, that's not the case. I agree. I think the only time you see Gandalf doubt a bit was in the movie when the Witch King overpowered him and destroyed his staff. Yeah, that kind of gave him, I wouldn't say, I think that shocked him. I don't think it I don't think it caused any doubt. I think it was more of a shock, I guess you can say. I think if anything would have happened, he would still return. And but we have to look at Iluvatar. Things happen for a reason. Gandalf never died. So but other than that, he doubting himself are not up to the task. Basically what Filoni says is all wrong. You're always going to have this moment of like being shocked, like, oh shit, what happened kind of deal, and all this other stuff, but that doesn't mean that this doubt was forever carried with him to where he second guessed himself all the damn time, because that's not the case either. So everybody's going to have some sort of like shocking doubt scenarios, but that doesn't mean that that's a part of the arc where he keeps doubting himself that he doesn't want to go forward at the task at hand. And I think that's one thing that people don't realize, or Filoni doesn't realize. Gag says, the Water Tribe Princess gives back the essence the moon spirit gave her to save her life, to save the spirit's life. Oh, okay. And smash the like button. I also never agreed with George retconning the multimedia project just to make a brand new show. Oh, there's something about that, because Tartakovsky was the one that was asked by George to come in and oversee the continuation of the Clone Wars series, which now we know as TCW. There was a negotiation between the two. George turned it down and Tartakovsky walked away. That's in short. And so then Filoni was hired. So Filoni was never the first choice. Tartakovsky was always the first choice, and their negotiation went sour, I guess you can say. And then so the position was opened up and Filoni was hired. So I think that if Tartakovsky was brought in with the terms that he wanted, I think that everything would have stayed in continuity. I really, really do. But that's another topic to talk about. That's another discussion to talk about here soon. Soul Assassin says, how many characters died and came back in Star Wars? Revan died twice and returned normal-ish. Yeah, so there you go. So we have this right here where, he is wanting this character to be this overall arcing important character. Gandalf is this Istari, which is an angel, I guess you can say, that was sent over by Manwë. And he was I want to say doubting. He had fear for Sauron. And Manwë told him basically, that's exactly why I want to send you, because there's that healthy fear where he will never want to join him. Versus Saruman didn't really have that fear. He wanted power. He craved that, I guess you could say, power in the sense of control. And so he went astray as an Ishtari. And the other ones that were sent, the other Ishtari, the other wizards, I guess you could say, that were sent, they either fallen, they were like fallen. So they either fallen, disappeared, or what have you. And Gandalf was the only one that stayed true to the task. And so if he's trying to make Ahsoka like that, she's never stayed true to the task because she gave up on the Jedi. Gandalf never gave up on the Maiar, never gave up on Manwë or Iluvatar. He always stayed at task. He never gave up who he was as a wizard or walked away from, who he was as a wizard. So that's another thing that you can say where Filoni gets wrong with comparing Ahsoka to Gandalf. We can get into a lot of this here. Gandalf, true to himself, task at hand, moving forward, helping, creating allies, finding out where all the evil are hiding. Finding out the necromancer is really Sauron. And, so the reason why he stayed a wanderer is because of that, because he was creating more allies, I guess you can say, and being a bigger presence and seeing where the enemy is, hiding, and being very aware of their surroundings, basically being very aware of the surroundings. And he, even with Aragorn, captured, what's his name? I can't even think. I'm tired, you guys. I can't think of his name now. Holy shit. The one that had the ring before Bilbo. Smeagol, there you go. I'm like, oh shit, I'm tired. I was gonna call him a different name, and I know that I knew it wasn't right, but Smeagol, I'm sorry. But yeah, so they even helped capture, and Smeagol revealed some things about Sauron really being alive, and basically he was tortured by Sauron because he's like, he has four fingers on one hand, and so revealing that Sauron still survived and that he is gaining power. Hey Brett, how are you doing? And thank you so much. I'm like friggin' tired, you guys. Filoni thinks the EU fans are bad. You don't want to cross the ring fandoms, right? Exactly. That's why I'm making aware. As you guys know, I've been getting into more of Lord of the Rings lore, exploring, researching all of this. And I'm happy I'm doing that now, because now I have stuff to compare to what Filoni's saying with comparing Ahsoka as a Gandalf to Star Wars, which is fucking bullshit. Let's see, I already read that one. Let's see here. And thank you again. Let's see here. I'm doing good. So am I. I'm doing good. So what do you guys think here? So we have 9 beautiful souls here. Hit that like button as you join us as well. Become a channel member. Subscribe if you have not. My subscribers have been going up and down, but it's slowly, like, it's climbing. So it's taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So it's going back like this. So I'm gaining slowly now. And with some people falling off, which is fine. Either, they're dropped off by YouTube, which I don't appreciate YouTube, or they're deciding that my content's not for them, which is fine too. I want people who are dedicated, wanting to learn more about George Lucas era Star Wars, talking about any changes and stuff like that, comparing and contrasting between the lores, all of that, having a serious discussion about Star Wars overall. And the jets are flying over. You hear that? If you guys don't already know, I'm close to a Navy air station, so naval air station. Let me see here. So smash the like button, yes. And the Ring of Power was shit. I agree. From what I investigated and seen with that, total shit stuff. All right, so let's talking about the Mandalorians being changed and how this change was taken into the new Star Wars lore, or I would say the Disney lore, because you know how I feel about that. We'll get into that. So if you're catching the replay and you're getting into the Filoni's part of the talk here, let me know what you think about this comparison. Any knowledge, anything I'm missing, please comment here about Gandalf comparing him to Ahsoka. I would greatly appreciate to create a greater conversation with this, because I think it's bullshit. I don't think, like, this guy wants to make this character so important to Star Wars that he's willing to go over and misinterpret what Tolkien written about Gandalf to justify Ahsoka. And I already pointed out things where she can't be this wanderer like Gandalf because she's not helping, she's not creating allies, she's very, very selfish. Very selfish. And so there's no way she's even incomparable because she's not even like, if you want to say anybody is like some kind of force angel or god or whatever, it would be Anakin since he's born of the force. Ahsoka does not have that. She is just a Togruta species that turned her back on the Jedi after being asked, or after her innocence was being proven. And she turned her back on the Jedi, all of that. That was her choice. So I don't know why he's trying to still make her more important to the Jedi when, in fact, she turned the back. She talked them down. They're worthless to her in a sense. And now he wants to create her as this Gandalf wandering character. Not good. Not good whatsoever. All right. So let's go ahead and change Cringe Factor. We started at 3. So we still got about 40 minutes to go. I always like to keep my live streams within 2 hours just to keep it entertaining, fun, all of that. Let's see here. So let's see what else is going on here in the Cringe Factor portion of the program. So again, let me know what you think regarding Filoni with Gandalf and Ahsoka. So let's see here. Catch Raging Rhino Show. There you go. And then I hate Dave Filoni. And then follow me on Twitter. And then check out my store. So again, if you want any merch, go hit up the store there. It's greatly appreciated if you do offer support that way. Christmas coming up. I don't think that the gifts, anything that you order now would make it in time, but treat yourself. Come after probably after the New Year's. Treat yourself. Let's see here. I am happy I no longer have Disney Plus. Woo, good for you. Congratulations. All right, let's see here. Let me get to this article here so we can start reading. So what do you guys know about Mandalorian lore? And what do you like and dislike about the changes that were created? Like I said, Leland Chi tried to walk back on what the perception of what the Mandalorians were made to be in TCW. He tried to walk back, saying that's just one faction of the Mandalorians, that the other faction that we see still exists, and the Fett still exist as Mandalorians as well. So what do you guys think about that? So this article here, Star Wars confirms Bo-Katan's new role ahead of the Mandalorian Season 4. This is by Molly Brizzle. Star Wars has confirmed Bo-Katan Kryze's new role and title in The Mandalorian ahead of Season 4 in the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes mobile game. So this is her title before Season 4 comes out. They're already revealing who she is according to this mobile game. Now, I don't know about Disney Star Wars on how their canonicity, like if they have a hierarchy of canon that was later established in George Lucas' era of Star Wars. A lot of games were as canon. So like how you played, it is not necessarily what had happened in the story. So you can build your own game, or you can play it a certain way and have the character, act out of character in a sense. Like if you want your character to act dark and they're a light-sided character, then how you play them is not exactly what happened in the story. So, but usually like certain titles, characteristics, and plot points are what happened in the story, the overall history. So a little history on that. I don't know, Disney's hierarchy of canon, if they have one. I know that Matt Martin said that everything being published, movies, shows, books, and games are all going to be part of one single canon. So here we go. Kate Sackhoff's Bo-Katan Kryze has a promising future ahead of her in The Mandalorian Season 4, and Star Wars just confirmed what her role will be. The ending of The Mandalorian Season 3 sees Bo-Katan seemingly taking her place as a ruler of Mandalorian people, with the armorer quite literally passing her torch to the officially bringing all groups and factions together once again. So I don't know if you guys, I know some of you guys kept track of the story through Raging Rhino and others that did review watches. All right, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes mobile game creator EA has shared their kit reveal for the newest version of Bo-Katan, and she comes with the title Mandalore. So we're looking at the time frame of around 9 ABY. And if you're privy with the history time in the original lore, we have Finn Shisa, who is basically the Mandalore before he hands the title on to Boba Fett. So now, basically, I don't think Finn Shisa even exists in the Disney lore, which I hope he does not. Sisha. Let me see if I spelled that right. Sasha. No, I want Finn Sisha. Okay. Let me see here. Star Wars. I don't think he is a part of the great. Yeah, I spelled it wrong. That's why. Yeah, so he's not a part of the greater, like a part of the Disney lore. And but during that time frame, he was the Mandalore. So again, you know, this is a revisionist history. This has been something I've been saying the last week or so with changing a lot of things in Star Wars now. The minute that they said we're no longer using the EU to build upon, that was the first bit of revisionist history within the whole Star Wars, Star Wars history lore going forth under Disney Star Wars. So this Bo-Katan's main role in the game will be one of a leader on top of being categorized as a light side Mandalorian. So why are they making these Mandalorians now Force users? If you know the history of Mandalorians, they do not like Force users. So if you are a Mandalorian with Force sensitivity, you did not reveal that. You kept that a secret and you lived as a Mandalorian. So this does not make sense to me on top of the lore, because the Mandalorians and the Jedi and Mandalorians and are Force users, even Sith at some point, have a bad history with each other. They're basically like enemies in a sense. Mandalorians don't trust Force users. They learn how to fight against them as well. And then now we have this here. Now that these Mandalorians are now going to be light side, dark side, or whatever, it does not make sense whatsoever. I'm going to see what you guys have to say. Let me see here. Hey, Star Wars Marvel purist. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I see. Everybody went off on this. I see you guys. I see you guys. Rodimus says, OG, what's your latest favorite Clone Wars episode from the TCW? Mine is Padme and Jar Jar's episode. It's awful, and this someone who loves Padme and Jar Jar. I really don't have one, and I haven't revisited TCW in a very, very long time to even give you my a constructive feedback to you. So I don't want to give something when I haven't watched the show in a very long time. In a sense, I'm thinking about doing it just to revisit so I can talk more clear about it since it's been a while. Lord have mercy. I'll let you guys know when I do that, and we'll discuss that as well. Soul Assassin, ugh, she's not a Mandalore. Finn Shisa is. I know, I hear you. I enjoy TCW, but damn, there's a lot of terrible episodes. That's what the consensus is. All right, Soul Assassin. Death Watch was wiped out by Jango Fett, correct? Correct, and I was going to get to that, but thank you, Soul Assassin. Great minds think alike. Bringing them back just lessens his character achievement, right? And I don't think that in the Disney lore, I don't think that is something that they have. Let's see here. The Force Unleashed was one of the better Star Wars games. And let's see here. 2003 Clone Wars series over Dave Fraudoloni's Clone Wars. And we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. All right. Well, I was going to be there on time. I'm sure you had technical issues. are real life hell. Yes, and that's okay. Thank you so much. You know, my family had emergency, and I finally fell fully asleep about before 5. So I was like, cannot get up in 4 hours and have CAF chat. No way. So I rescheduled it for 3 today. So thank you for hopping in and hanging out. Rodimus says, I hated TCW retconning the movies. Correct. And that's the turn off right there too. Anakin has no apprentice called Ahsoka. Channel the Sith and selfish. Let's see here. Saisha was the beloved Mandalore. Correct. Galen Merrick makes more sense on grounds of Sith supremacy. There's always an apprentice who had a Sith on, or had an apprentice who had their own apprentice on standby. So once he kills his master, he can step up per the rule of 2. Mandalorians hated Force users and really worked with them. Correct. Are you going to be watching Rebel Moon? I don't know. My son said he was going to. So, I don't know. I have no idea. All right, let's get back to the article here. Let's see what else we can come up with here for this cringe factor. And this cringe factor is brought to you by Soul Assassin. He's the one who shared the article with me. So thank him for this cringe factor article. Interestingly enough, her main weapon of attack will be the dark saber, with one of her abilities being named after the armorers called to battle the Mandalorian. Season 3 finale. Reinforcements have arrived. EA cites that it is Bo-Katan's leadership and bringing together all the separate clans of Mandalorians that serves as the inspiration for this character, specifically in her Mandalore version. So there you go. So she's reuniting all the Mandalorians. She would be considered Darmanda, because of who the type of Mandalorians she belonged to, which again were destroyed by Jango Fett. So this does not make sense whatsoever. But again, Disney Star Wars is reinventing the wheel, revisionist history, if you want to say. So here we go. But the thing is that where was she shown to have any Force sensitivity? Are we getting into what Filoni says, that as long as everybody has a Force, so anybody can use it, forgetting that you have to have a certain amount of midichlorians to even be Force sensitive, to be trained to use the Force. If you weren't, or if you don't have enough midichlorians, then you're not Force sensitive. So there's that. So are we going into this aspect? Okay, well, since the Force flows through her, she has the Force, and so she can train and use it. So what is it going to be? You guys stay tuned for that. It probably will be expanded more as we start seeing the show come out and the game being released and stuff. So what do you guys think? I say, if you prefer the original Mandalorian culture and storyline, stay with George Lucas' era of Star Wars. Here. And let's see here. I'm just going to share this again because I agree. And then let's see here. Soul Assassin says, Mandalorians hate, Force users, rarely work with them. And I know I shared that before, but recapping, are you going to be watching Rebel Moon? And of course, I don't know. So what do you guys think about this bit of history here, this reveal of who Bo-Katan or how she's going to be portrayed or shown as the Mandalorian? It's kind of like they just hinted Din Djarin, their own character, as becoming this leader, and he's not worthy enough, and now she's going to step up and take it. So who knows what's going on and what happened. So because of Din Djarin not being able to pick up the darksaber and it being heavy and hard to wield, does that mean he is not a Force sensitive then? And then so does this go against what Filoni was saying about the Force flows through everybody, so everybody's Force sensitive? So it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't think this guy even thinks about or listens to himself when he discusses things. I mean, look what he said about Gandalf, let alone what he's saying about the Force. And then he praises, George Lucas said, but then forgets about the midichlorian and how you have to have a certain amount to be able to be Force sensitive. So very, weird. Very, and it's very, this guy is so strange. George Lucas era forever. I agree. And yeah, so we're going to end this a little bit shorter, an hour and a half. I'm a bit still tired. Like I said, it's been a long day. So what do you guys think? Tehillium says, maybe Bo will identify as trans dumb jughead. Who knows? You know, I think there's like this, people pairing Din Djarin with Bo-Katan. So who knows what's going to happen with that, right? You know, only time will tell once they start revealing season 4, I guess you could say. And this game, what they're going to reveal in the game and stuff like that. Who knows? So thank you guys again for tuning in. And also thank you for waiting 6 hours and knowing, you know, like, oh, well, it's changed to 3 instead of 9, and coming in and tuning in and sitting down with me to talk Star Wars. And as always, I always invite you guys to recommend or send out like requests on like, can we talk about this lore here, or this planet here, or this species here, or whatever you want to hear, or even questions in the chat. Let me know, because it keeps a greater conversation of talking about the lore amongst ourselves together, exploring and learning all that fun stuff. So as always, I encourage you guys to create the conversation, ask questions, do recommendations. I know we're still going through the Smuggler lore series, but if you have any recommendations on like any other type of topics you want to see here on CAF Chat when it comes to the lore, let me know. I'm always open to suggestions. Always open to suggestions. Especially when you're still learning and you're getting into the EU and you're quite new or revisiting it from a very long time. Feel free to get involved, make recommendations, ask questions, all of that. All of that. And then here, let me see here. And yeah, so, all right, you guys. So I know we're coming up on the holidays. So however you guys spend it, however you celebrate, I hope that you find yourself in, you know, warm company, enjoying time with family and friends, and however you celebrate, and that you're in good spirits as well. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate every single one of you guys, you know, from the bottom of my heart to you guys here. So thank you again. And may the force be with you. Oh, yeah. One more thing. The spacing this Friday at 8:05 p.m. on Tim's channel, Open Airlock Policy. Stay tuned for that. There's going to be more Filoni talk there. So I think we're going to have I'm Your Alibi on there, I believe. That's what was announced. So stay tuned for that. And I can't wait to be in conversation with them and everybody else on the panel, and going over the rest of the Dagobah Dispatch podcast interview about about Filoni. I don't know why I was thinking George Lucas. So thank you guys again. And I'll see you guys over at Raging Rhino's channel for Casual Rage. And you guys have a great day. And may the force be with you.
Prepare yourself for Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. The evil Empire has struck back with a vengeance, and a new villain, the crime lord Shizor, schemes to replace Darth Vader as the Emperor's second-in-command. With Han Solo held frozen in carbonite by bounty hunter Boba Fett, it's the rebellion's darkest hour. Now, join Jedi warrior Luke Skywalker, hard-charging Chewbacca, and go undercover with heroic pilot Dash Rendar and his booming Outrider. But can Han Solo be freed and Shizor be stopped? Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. Look for the authentic figures and vehicles from Kenner.
Are you sure? So be it.
Another happy landing.